Okay, we are back in the image, and as always, when I come back from a break and return to an image, I tend to very quickly see a few points that still need to be dealt with. In this regards, it is something that still needs to be cloned away, and I made up my mind also about this hair strand here, which I am going to take away. So let's start there and get to it. Cloning, healing. Who doesn't love that? That's the magic part of Photoshop, taking things away and adding new. All right. And also here, there's a few spots of texture that I would love to take out before starting dodging burning. Yes. Let's move further. Oh, there's something. There was a trace of me retouching there earlier. So I need to take care of these especially. You know, retouchers are like ninjas. That's what I always say when I speak at some event. We did a good job when we've been working undercover and nobody saw that we've been there. Quite the opposite of a photographer, right? I like to be a shadow worker. Hey, check this out. There's these tiny hair. Mini hairs. Everywhere. But we have zoomed far in, so it's gonna be printed in a magazine that's like possibly 30 centimeters. So you don't have to go completely nuts with it, as if it would be like a big billboard where you could spot these tiny mistakes like from very far distance. All right. Let's create some dodge and burn layers and the help layer set. I'll get back to the help layer set in a second. Dodge and burn is just 2 curves. I work with the 2 curves method. It's my preferred way to work. And opacity 10%, flow 100. As a starting point, I use and like to switch between also 100% opacity and maybe a couple % flow. It depends on how I want to go through the image. And this, what I used to work with is my help layer set, which helps me to definitely point out areas more quick and easy and very precise that need to be dealt with. And I'm going to show you how this works. So there's a couple of layers, but those that are important now is a 4-point solar curve on top, a luminosity layer, which just takes out the color, and a brightness contrast layer. And as you can see now, if you move the slider slightly towards to the right side, you can see that some spots jump at you. And no, I see this spot. So I need to go back quickly to the retouching layer. There's still some ear hole that needs to be taken out. Right, all right. Okay, so back to the help layer set and back to my brush. As you can see now, there's these darker parts and there's these lighter parts, and I want to work on those, adjusting the brush size, being prepared to switch between the layers, and then we can move very intuitively through the image. If you like, follow along. It's going to take a little while to walk through the whole image. Feel free to forward if you don't like to see the whole process. If you want to do a little meditation with me here, you're welcome. But people ask for full retouch, so here it goes. You keep asking for that, you get it. So be careful. No, just kidding. I think it's a good way to learn to see every step of the process. And if you are familiar with one, feel free to skip. But if you're not, there's no secret hidden trick. It's patience, and you have to put the hours and your energy in. And if you have another preferred way to dodge and burn, you can definitely do that. For myself, I find this very helpful, and also I know how to dial back if I went too far. I know that it emphasizes or let's say over accentuates, is that the right word? Certain areas. But you can see that it helps to even out, and it's things that you maybe sometimes don't really see if you don't use help layers. And as I said earlier, every detail counts, and you need to make sure that you see them. And if you see them better with help layers, that's the way. But always make sure that you train your eye. Because very subtle differences can lead to way better results. And if you're the one that is known for seeing the slight, tiny differences, guess who they're gonna call? So I'm working on both, dodge and burn, changing very quickly. I'm evening out little bumps and differences between light and shadow to make a more even impression, so that your eye doesn't stumble here. Just trying to make an even flow of light and shadow and smooth transitions between the tones. See, there's these darker patches. If we work on the brightness and contrast layer, we can move through it and visualize those areas. As you can see here, just making my way down the nose now. Changing the brush size accordingly to the areas that I want to work on. And if you prefer to do a second flight of dodge and burn later, that's definitely a way to go. Sometimes I have 4 or 5 sets of dodge and burn layers, just if you wonder. It depends. One upside of using multiple sets of dodge and burn layers is that you can individually dial back the opacity to make the changes even more subtle. So it doesn't really matter if you go overboard. I think it's pretty natural that you sometimes need to go back, since going too far is pretty easy with dodging and burning. So you need to find your balance. Let's check the forehead. There's this part here, and on the right side that we will move to now. But then we need to maybe invert it. That's what the invert layer is for. And see when those areas become more visible. Remember, these are like natural shadows here. So let's not go too far. And in this flight, I just want to deal with the very obvious ones. By having this inverted now, I can also spot some parts that need to be darkened a little better. And work on those transitions. Like so. Okay, let's go back here. Take those out. And well, in this case, it's pretty obvious, so you don't need to use any help layer. We will definitely darken the hair fringe later with a separate layer. So we want to keep the shadow, just make it a little more smooth. Okay, same goes on the right side. I hope you can see those little subtleties in the screen record. Sometimes it's maybe not as visible as directly looking on the screen. And I think working this way also it's a little easier for the eyes. If you look at the cheeks here, you can see these dark bumps, which are actually light. So we are going to even those out. This way you can also see where it would make sense to darken certain areas, just to have a more smooth transition again. So let's see what we did here. We just evened out the chin, no, the cheek. Now we can bring back some contrast here. Let's see what patches are in this transition area. can work a little more bigger brush here. And even this out. All right, check. You might dial that back later. But for now, I'm all up for smooth transitions. We don't want it flat, just even. Oops. Are you also looking forward to traveling again? Like job-wise, vacation-wise? How do you feel about reopening after lockdown and like being back in the creative community, like exchange, and or do you prefer the online world? Was it a good shift for you to go to the online universe? For me, I always liked the direct exchange with creative fellows, and I definitely can't wait to hang around like-minded people and my fellow artists, photographers, creatives from all sorts of places, and have a cold beer in the sun somewhere, like in an official place, restaurant. How about you? See this dark spot here? You can lighten that a bit. I mean darken. We are evening it out. Not take it out completely, but you know, let's invert that. You can also enter the contrast curve to move through it. You can just play around with it to visualize or help you visualize certain areas. this is too technical for you, you can do you. I love late night retouching all by myself. It's 10 o'clock in the evening here right now. Family is asleep, so I can take my time here and record this for you and also enjoy the process of retouching. I really hope that you get something out of this and you can maybe implement a few things in your own workflow. And if you get an idea for what maybe you would like to show me, or if you would like me to have you answer a question or take a look at what you came up with this technique, you can always let me know. This is about helping each other, and yes, we definitely have to check every once in a while how far we have been going already. But there are these areas that definitely, let's lock those areas too. I forgot. Oh, no, wrong layer. And it's very easy to dial back if this is too far. You can either create a mask or a group and put those layers in and take out what you overdid, or dial back the opacity as a whole and find the sweet spot of these changes that I just made. Let's see. Yeah. Moving on. Slowly but surely. Take out the contrast. Now the right side, or maybe even here still. Just a few more strokes. on here. So once it's a beauty commercial, you probably take out anything that is imperfect. But if you're working on an editorial or a free series, I think it's a good idea to leave a few imperfections, because it's still humans that we show, and no human is perfect, skin-wise, hair-wise. But you can bring in some level of order. And I think, from my experience, the human eye enjoys a certain amount of order in an image, so that it can relax and also be amazed by the story the image tells. And as retouchers, it's our job to tell these stories and to help bring out the best of the image that can't be done in pure photography and styling. And so it's always a mixture of talent that comes together to create the best possible result. Always respect every other part of the process, because as retouchers, we are the one who has the privilege to have the final touch. See, there's these uneven patches here. Small brush moving through. So I'm really excited for Infinite Tools' new retouch panel. It's coming up. I've been in close contact with Stefan Kohler, who's a friend of mine and who I love to work with. And I told him about these layers that I love for helping me visualize certain areas of the image. And guess what? They implemented this. So I'm really thrilled to see how it turned out, and can't wait to improve my workflow with this new thing. So it shouldn't be long anymore. We are close to the end of May while I'm recording this. And I'm pretty sure it will be released soon. Possibly by the time this video is online, it's already there. Let's see. Let's check where we are, if we went too far. Nope, that's good. See if we can, yeah, like so, it's better. Find some spots that need some love. Just these smooth transitions is what we want. The ear also shows some areas that want some attention. Okay, so here, that's a tricky area. Let's see. Small brush should cut it. Yes. We need to see when we go in a little more. Don't you like this? I think it's a beautiful way to go through an image like that. You can concentrate on a certain area. You can point out some spots that you possibly wouldn't see as clear. And I like to work in that black and white surrounding since color can distract quite a lot while dodging and burning. And it's relaxing for my eye. So I'm taking my time for you to see the whole process. It is not always necessary to go into such detail. I just want to show you how and why I do things. I think this is already looking pretty good. We'll move forward. Let's see if we can visualize a little more of that cheek here. See? We'll darken gently around these so that we have a nice shadow. If this is too abstract to see for you, you could also like take this one out, the solar curve, take the contrast curve and these out, and just darken like so, with a more black and white vision of the image. And then you can even out this shadow here, make it a little more smooth. As soon as Stefan's panel is out for Infinite Tools, I definitely gonna make a nice video for you to check out how I individualize it and how it can dramatically increase your output and speed of and ease of creating layers, selecting tools, and in a very intuitive way, because I'm always thankful for anything really that improves even a single step of my workflow. And I'm always open for new techniques, new tools, and that's why I really, really enjoy working with, or at least I'm really enjoying trying new technology, new tools, new panels that appear to make sense to me. Because it's easy to say I'm always going to do it like I'm used to. But to be honest, by being open to new stuff, I remember the first time that I found out about 3D LUT Creator, which is a fantastic tool for playing and manipulating colors. I teamed up with Jeff Whitlock from the United States, and we have had sessions over sessions online, deep diving into 3D LUT Creator, and it was such an amazing experience to implement these into our workflows, or manipulating colors in a very new and intuitive way. So I can only encourage you, be open and just expand your tool set, and you never know when the situation comes that you might need it and might benefit from it. So Jeff, if you hear this, very good memories. Looking forward to discuss the next hot topic together. So let's even out that nose here, right? Just gently, not too much. Maybe work on that shadow here. Even out that transition. For those of you wondering why I have that headphone in my ear, I really do need music while I retouch. And since I'm not allowed to play this yet, Spotify, if you hear me, I'm here for you. I'm definitely taking your license, if you give me. I love to play music to the folks. So if you enjoy retouching, Spotify, let me know. We can always talk. I'm here for you. Well, let's see the nose. Yes. Possibly a little more work here on the ear. And we are making our way back upwards. Where are we now? Oh yeah, there's something still. So let's go back to this view for a second. Start fresh. Like this. Maybe I mentioned already, I don't know. Sometimes I forget what I say. I'm planning to do live sessions on beauty and fashion images, and show you how I work on these images and let you interact with me. So if you have any question, that would be a good time to interact about it and maybe share that question. Oops, I'm working with a black color. That doesn't work. To share that question with the audience and maybe learn together and exchange a few thoughts on that. So you're welcome to send me questions up front. You can also send me a short question as a voice message on Instagram that I can implement into a stream. I can just play it and we can share the thoughts and maybe also find some answers from the community. I would love to build a group of people that, just wants to improve and learn and exchange and talk about our passion. So you're welcome. And bring your friends. Should be fun. And I'm curious, do you retouch on a regular basis? Are you working in the retouching industry? Are you working in an advertising agency? Are you a photographer? Are you doing something completely different and you came here by accident and now you want to know what this dude is doing there with his black neck? You're welcome. Let me know. I love to hear who's watching and who's here. There is a big difference between light and shadow. We can even that out. If you work from both directions, like shadow and light, it's pretty easy to, just even it out. It's like painting. Painting with light. Do you visit any music festivals? As we are moving up the neck, there is, as you can see, slightly hidden a few lines that we can improve. here you can see. So we want to even out those, make this transition sometimes a hard word for me. Let's see what we can do here. How did you start with Photoshop? What was the initial event that got you into the world of image manipulation? Do you want to hear what I had encountered? How it happened? Well, kids, it's a while back, 1997, I guess. Or was it maybe 96? I don't know. I was playing NHL hockey, EA Sports NHL hockey with my friend Christian. And by the time we were playing this game together as a team, and we were both in the same team, and we played a full season, and we created a team. I think it was the first time that you were allowed to put the names or like custom names into the game. We played it on a PC, and that wasn't enough for us. We wanted to have our own jerseys and our own arena. And by the time we had one very favorite beer in Germany, I think one of the most cheap ones, of course, and we wanted to introduce that into the game. So we went through the whole files of the game that were installed to the computer, and we tried to find the graphics. And there was nothing like HD or so, right? So it was really pixelated. And when we did, we managed to find those graphics. And so we needed a tool to actually work on these graphics, and those there was no Google at the time, or maybe there was, but nobody used it. And I guess there was a web search that was called Alta Vista, and we tried to find something that was helping us to edit these images, and we found Photoshop. And we happened to find the version and worked with it and made these graphics to the way we like those, and we put them back into the game, and we really managed to play with our friends in our own jerseys, and had this really big beer logo on the ice and on the shirts. And that was the moment when my passion for image manipulation was born. And I never really went away from it. So I found my passion very early on. Besides playing hockey, I was playing inline hockey for almost 10 years in Germany. We formed 2 teams and played in the second league of Germany, and it was such an amazing journey with my friends back in the day. So we were like from 15 to 25, we were playing like every week for 3 to 4 times, playing across whole Germany, and that was a great time. And then everybody started working and studying somewhere far away, so the team eventually broke apart. But it was a perfect time. And this hockey tradition online and in the game was carried on for a really, really long time. And we always updated the teams, and so much fun. How did you get to know Photoshop? What this also does show us is a few places in the background that can be optimized, like some lens dust or flying dust on set. We can take it out. See if there's more. Yeah. It's not really visible, but you never know. If you take these away, you possibly don't see it. Gosh, that's the perfectionist in me. Right. So it feels like we are pretty far. Okay. So there's a new, I want to create a new curve and call it darken fringe. I want to like close this gap here a little. And I'm gonna darken this here. I'm gonna burn the hair a bit. And I can also use that for the brows, so we can like make a little more volume to it. We could also try to give it a little more skin tone. Yes. We still want to work on the lips. And take out this dryish look here and there. And here it's one way to work with a very low opacity and clone in some original texture and take out a few of these wrinkles. Let's call it wrinkles, just to make them a little less deep and obvious. There's this, just saw it in the help layers. There's this thick piece of lipstick. if you wonder how long it takes to work on an image like that under real circumstances, well, it depends. Usually when there's a series of images, like, let's say, mostly between 10 and 15 or so that go with one series, we usually work out one master file that also defines the look and the whole look and feel for the series. That one usually takes a little longer. But once that is settled and defined for the series, then, and if I'm not explaining things, then it usually takes about 2 hours maybe for an image like that to get finished. Maybe sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little faster. It depends on the detail that is needed. Yeah, look, the lips appear now more pleasing, and we also take care of the upper lip. That was too much. If I, in my career so far as a retoucher, if one thing became more and more easy to evaluate, was the time needed for a complex image, including corrections and project management, which is definitely a part of retouching an image. You always need to consider that your client maybe have a different view or thought on the result. And it's one thing to be very open for critique, but also stand for or to what you did. All right, I guess we are pretty close to finishing the dodge and burn part. Yeah. So there's one thing now that I would like to do, and that is to take out these highlights here. And in this case, it does make sense to create a frequency separation. I know that there's a lot of discussion about that, and if there's one thing about frequency separation, it is that you definitely need to know how to use it the right way. And not use it to destroy texture or replace texture unless you know how. So let's see. I'm gonna create a stamp, and I am going to use the frequency separation. I've got an action for that, so I guess you do too. And if you don't, there's plenty of tutorials in the internet today where you can find a way how to do it. So what I want to do now is in this frequency separation, I would like to use the space between the high frequency and the low frequency to ever so slightly, with a very low flow and 100% opacity, paint in the surrounding color and a very soft brush. So I've tried it 1,000 times, and I think that is the way to deal with a highlight like that. You can sample the color here, and you just sample over and over again from this section, and you are slowly painting a new color here. So I'm going to show you another way after that. And it's a good idea to zoom out and see what you do. And you always have the option to take it back. But you can see that the texture is still intact. And it helps to smooth out this highlight. Same here with the nose. Adjust the brush size. And keep the texture, but take out the light a bit. Same here. It just takes out the in an editorial that is printed in a magazine. It's fair to use this technique, I think, to improve certain light topics. Okay. And after that, you can like merge all of this. Oops, take out highlights, I meant. And you can then mask it away if you like. Like so. And you can brush it back in where you enjoy it, or where you think it does help the image. And that's one way to do it. Well, the other would be to create a curve. And we can just take the same mask for starters, and we can take out some green in the highlights, but just a bit, and some blue, and maybe just slightly the highlights themselves. Okay, the mask doesn't work, so we can paint it in now with a 100% maybe, and low flow. Zoom out. And also the midtones. It just leaves a little more shine. And it depends. Of course, you can go further, but I think in this case, this does a really good job, and it's a pretty fast and easy technique. So we're going to stick with that. And we can now create a group from all of what we did and call it Retouch, and check out how far we got so far. We can save it And in the next video, I'm gonna take you through the color correction process, and we will continue with the look and the final look creation and how to apply it. So see you in the next one.